Hello and welcome back to the Wedding Collective podcast. Today I have a very special guest, Mr. Cody Maz from Maz Entertainment. He is an incredible DJ in Lloydminster. He is the best of the best and he has so much to tell you today. You're going to learn a lot from him. He is an absolute expert in his field, and I cannot wait for you to listen to this episode. I know you're going to love this one. So let's get into it. Hey, this is Rebecca Westman, and you're listening to the Wedding Collective podcast. Hey there, lovebirds. This podcast is your one-stop shop for wedding planning. I'll connect you with amazing local vendors. We'll hear from real couples. And of course, I'll be sharing my own wedding photographer insights to help make your dream wedding day a reality. So whether you're sipping coffee with your wedding planning checklist or just daydreaming about your perfect day, this podcast is your new best friend. Tune in for inspiring stories, practical tips, and lots of love. This is the Wedding Collective podcast. Let the wedding adventure begin. Hey Cody, how's it going?
It's great. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for having me and your shop.
No, thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. It's pretty impressive walking in here and seeing all the stuff that you guys have.
Oh, yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's been quite a few years kind of building this and still far from where we want to be, but it's a good start for sure.
Yeah, that's really cool. So guys, if you don't know, Cody is the owner of Maz Entertainment. And I guess to get started, I'd just love for you to tell us about yourself and who you are. Doesn't really have to be business related yet, but just tell me all about you.
Yeah, I guess I was born and raised in Lloydminster. Really owe a lot to my family and everything that in terms of raising me to kind of where I am today. I got started. I guess I wasn't always in this industry. I worked summer jobs everywhere from Canadian Tire to the oil field. I think I started in the oil field at 14. I don't know if that's legal anymore, but I was just helping out with my uncle. Quickly realized that's not kind of where I wanted to be. It was a good way to make money, but I wanted to find a way to make money outside of the oil field, just with the boom bust. But there is great money in it, so I can't blame anybody for wanting to do it. Yeah, no, But yeah, no, it was, I think it was 2008 maybe when I first started getting into the whole like music side of things. I was always a bit of a drama kid in school, but ironically not on the tech side. I was more the juggler, tumbler, actor type thing. I wasn't a very good actor, which is why they used me more as like comic relief than acting. But yeah, I never really got into the tech side until after high school, but I started DJing on the side just on weekends and whatnot at 16, 17 years old. There was actually a German exchange student that came over. His name was Felix Feld, and they misspelt his name when he came to Canada. It was Flex. They put it as Flex on the thing. So we're like, who is this kid named Flex that's coming to school with us? But we quickly became good friends. He basically lived with me and one other kid instead of his billet family because we just bonded so well together. And he was the one who showed me just an online platform for learning to DJ, and it was just all computer based. And from there, we just kept growing and learning, getting the hardware that you needed, getting small sets of speakers, doing garage parties. I can't even remember the first gig per se. It might have been a Halloween party back when I was like 16, 17 years old. And yeah, to look back at some of the goofy setups of what I thought was so cool back in the day it's just cringeworthy now. But yeah, it was kind of the start of it all in terms of the industry. And I mean, outside of work, huge hockey fan, huge baseball fan. Got a loving wife, Stephanie, now, that we met back in 2017, 2018. We got our first kid on the way coming in September. Thank you. Yeah. Very excited for that's the thing I've been looking forward to most in life is being a parent. So can't wait for September to come. So.
Oh, that's amazing news. That is so exciting. Yeah. Having your first kid, there's just nothing like it. That anticipation.
Yeah, no, we're supposed to do the whole like finding out the gender next week, I think.
Oh, wow.
So we were dead set on like just letting it be a surprise, but Stephanie the other day said she might want to find out. So I was like, it's completely up to you. Whatever you decide, I'm cool with. But yeah, I guess we'll find out next week which way we go with that. So
it's so nice, honestly. Like for our three, I wanted to know every time. There's just so many unknowns in the pregnancy and like just with having a kid in the first place and what life is going to be like, all the changes that are going to come your way. And so that was one thing that I was like, I think I just want to know. It's one thing that is not going to be a surprise, and I actually wanted it that way. But I get it either way. Like having the surprise would be crazy too. But
yeah,
so
you're a proponent for finding
I
out?
liked knowing, and too, like as far as like bonding while you're pregnant, or like even your partner, like you can really start imagining life with that kiddo.
That's a good point.
I really liked that.
Well, and a lot of the friends we talked to about it too, they were like, well, the ones who didn't find out were like, we loved the surprise. It's one of the last surprises in life. And then the ones who did find out, they were like, oh, it was so nice because I got to plan outfits better, the room better, and all this kind of stuff. So I see it from both sides. So whatever Stephanie decides, I'm good with.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good husband right there. Awesome. Okay, so tell me a little bit more, I guess, about how you got to where you are today from those like beginning stages, just working on your computer with your buddies, doing garage parties, like you said. How did you build to, you know, this, what Maz Entertainment is today, and what do you love most about it?
It was a lot of working 5 days a week, because my biggest thing was I didn't want to jump into it until I knew I could come close to replacing my full-time income with what I was doing. So it was a lot of Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. in the oil field, working as a swamper, and then every weekend, usually Friday, Saturdays, doing the opposite, working from like 5 p.m. to 3 or 4 in the morning with weddings or bar gigs or whatever. So Sundays were much appreciated in terms of rest at that point in time. It was when was it? I did a quick stint with Red Bicycle, Joe Kelly and Red Bicycle. I was only there for 3 months because I realized very quickly that I had a hard time focusing on putting my full effort into 2 different jobs that I was trying to pursue. And I really do appreciate everything Jill did for me in those 3 months. I learned so much about professionalism and keeping organized. So I want to give a big shout out to her. Awesome. In terms of everything she did for me leading into it. But when I did make the jump, it was a little nerve-wracking for sure in terms of how am I going to sustain my spending habits or being able to make rent and stuff if I'm only working Fridays and Saturdays. So it was that trying to find a way to get Monday to Friday work, either that or bring on more people so that we have 3 DJs out every weekend or 4 DJs out every weekend. And it was a tough couple of years. I'm going to say 2017, 2018, I actually sat down with my dad and I said, I could make way more money just going back to what I was doing in the oil field or trying to pursue maybe a power engineering degree. And I mean, I look at some of the money that they're making, working half, like they're 1 week on, 1 week off. Yeah. And, respect the industry and whatnot. It's just, he told me, and I'm grateful my dad told me to just stick it out. And it's worth it, but it's been a lot of years of not really pulling a lot of money from the company, putting it all back in. And I mean, even now I still try to take a very modest salary and just keep growing and helping out where we can in the industry. And there's lots of opportunity. So if anybody's looking and listening, we always need more DJs and techs and stuff like that. So
that's cool.
But yeah, I guess going back to the question about what I love about this industry, it's got to go back to that. It's never the same. Like one weekend we're doing a wedding, the next weekend we're doing a rodeo, the weekend after that I know this is very much wedding based. The podcast is wedding specific,
we want to hear all about you first.
But the industry itself is crazy in the amount of different types of work and the different people you get to work with. So it never feels like it's the same job every week. You're always doing something different, and I think that's what I love the most about it. And you're always learning.
Yes, I bet. That's super exciting, and it keeps you on your toes, keeps you like, I don't know, just growing as a person and as a business, hey?
100%. Yeah. And I mean, I've done weddings for 12 years. I don't do nearly as many as I used to, but even seeing where the wedding industry has went in the last 10 years to, and comparing it from when I first started to where I am now, it's actually wild, the changes and some things that have stayed the same. The same songs still kind of hit. Yeah. Like Backstreet Boys are still popular.
Yes, they're still cool. You've heard it here, guys. Backstreet Boys are still cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. My son was actually singing them the other day,
Exactly.
and I was so proud. I was like, yes, next generation.
Even Journey. You play Don't Stop Believing.
Yes.
You got high school kids and middle school kids singing Don't Stop Believing. I don't get
That's
it.
so great.
I love it, but it's just wild to think.
Oh, yeah, that it's just classics, these classic songs.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Okay, so it's really cool hearing about kind of your journey and how you've gotten to where you are today. What are some of the biggest hurdles that you've had to jump? Like any challenges to really get you to where you are?
The right staff is by far the hardest thing to get sorted out in growing your business, because you're trusting your reputation and your brand with somebody else, and that's something that we've been truly grateful, is that a lot of the people that we've brought on have been outrageously kind and caring, and they do good work and they care about what they do.
That's awesome.
They put in the extra effort, and they have a passion for it. A lot of we've actually got 3 dancers that work for us, and it's such a complimentary thing because their timing is so good and they understand music so well that when it comes to like mixing music, they just get it because they know the 4/4 time. They know the so it's finding those right people who really get it and really care about it, and they care about each other.
You know what? I see that in your business, because even this past year doing a bunch of weddings, there would occasionally be a DJ that I didn't recognize, and I'd be like, "Oh snap, this dude is good." And I was just like, I only thought Maz was this good. I'm like, who is this person? And then I'd find out, oh, they work for you. Okay, this is Maz.
And honestly, a lot of people, like every once in a while, a bride or groom will request a specific DJ, whether it's myself or somebody else in our roster, and it's almost becoming a parody thing where we have so many people who, you know what, maybe that person's already booked, but I know this other person has a very similar skill set, knows the music just as well, and that's part of developing playlists and stuff like that. Is a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that people may not guess about or get about the industry is the time it takes to prep these playlists and to prep the gear and stuff. It's all of that goes into making sure that, you know what, no matter what DJ you're getting, they're going to be able to produce a similar product at the end of it.
At the end of the day. Yeah, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to talk a bit more about that after too.
Sure.
But first of all, can you take us back to like your very first wedding gig? Because we're going to start talking more about weddings. If you can remember what your first wedding is, tell us about that experience.
Oh man, I don't know if I can recall like the first wedding. There's a couple that stick out. Ashley Foster now was one that I did way back in the day. We still see each other all the time, and it's always great catching up with her. That was back when like the cha-cha slide was maybe like 3 or 4 years old or whatever. So I vividly remember everybody doing the cha-cha slide.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, still a classic to this day.
Yeah,
Some
still
people,
one of those things that still happens.
it's one of those ones that sometimes ends on the do not play list.
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, it's getting to all these line dances and stuff. Sometimes people love them. I personally love them because it encourages people to get out there onto the dance floor. But yeah, that was probably one of the first ones that I can remember off the top of my head in terms of weddings. But I think one of the most memorable ones that I'll always remember was Terry Sokolovsky's wedding. And yeah, we were out in Greenwood Hall, or it was in tent by Greenwood Hall, just north of town. And I ironically, I met Bill, who's my right-hand man now when it comes to the whole company. I met him there. He helped me out with a projector and literally have worked together since then. So that was a side note of that wedding. But I just remember it being a nonstop dance floor the entire night. I mean, typically our packages go till 2. I was there till, I think we shut down at 5:15 in the morning. Gosh. It was everything from like 90s, like your late 90s to early 2000s with your, like we were saying, Backstreet Boys, your Spice Girls, to like pop, like or pop punk and stuff like that. We were doing, I think we had some good Charlotte. He was in a punk band growing up. So like we played some hit. Oh yes, exactly. Like it was such a good array of music, and it wasn't like people were like, oh, I'm not going to dance to that because it's not my favorite genre. It was like, I'm going to stick out here and party with everybody. So just a really fun, loving crowd.
Oh, that's the best.
usually when you have to stay till 5, it like drags out and you're just like playing for a couple of people sitting at the table and listening as background music. But this was just nonstop party right till about 5 in the morning.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm sure the photographer would have been happy too to get lots of photos of people actually dancing on the dance floor.
Yeah. Well, and I guess going to that side of things,
Yeah.
Typically the packages will start so early. Like you guys are there at 7 a.m. sometimes getting the prep makeup shots and all that kind of stuff. How often do you have to stay till like 2 in the morning? Is it usually like the first dance and
Not
then you're
often.
done? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, usually my packages between like 8 and 10 hours typically. So if you start at 10, you're done at 10.
Right.
Or before that's if, I guess if they add extra hours, because I have done 12-hour packages too, but like, yeah, or you're starting at noon and ending at 10, whatever. Like the dance is getting going, but I feel sometimes I wonder if we're done before it really kicks into high gear, you know, or if it's just, I don't know, some dance floors are hopping right off the get-go, and some, it just depends on the crowd. You know, some people are just a little more like hesitant to get up there.
Yeah, and that's the difficult part is, you're right, the dance doesn't typically get started. And I think a lot of people have that misconception that as soon as it's 8:30, that dance floor should be bopping. And that obviously we try to do that. We hit them with the go-to for us is Chattahoochee into Footloose, into like Mambo Number 5. Like the ones that everybody will know, and try to get them out, maybe Uptown Funk, that kind of stuff. But you're right. Like a lot of people are hesitant to get out there until 10:30, 11 o'clock when maybe a little bit of liquor has kicked in. But
Exactly.
they need that liquid courage a lot of the time. So it's hard for us because we feel demotivated if they're not out there right away. But at the same time, we've been in that same situation where we're at a wedding and we're still chatting. We're especially coming out of the pandemic. People sat at their tables chatting for a long time and didn't get out on the dance floor till 10. It's starting to switch that trend a little bit, and people are dancing a little bit more, but it was really tough the first year out for sure.
I bet, trying to just pull people in, get them out there, right? Yeah. But I know that liquid courage is that's the weddings that they do start dancing right away. They've been at it a little earlier. That's why.
Yeah, there was a big tub outside the ceremony site full of liquor. Yeah.
They've been at it for a while. That's so funny. Okay, so I'd love to hear about like a day in the life of a wedding day. Walk us through what a typical day kind of looks like for you. Maybe even that prep work, getting ready for weddings as well.
Yeah, so I guess we would probably start earlier in the week. I guess day of would be the majority of the work, but something that we started doing last year is usually the Monday or Tuesday we have Jayla, one of our DJs, reach out to each one of our bride and grooms that we would have that weekend and just do a rundown of, hey, just making sure your information sheets that we have are filled out for you, your ceremony, your reception. If there is anything they want to add last minute or any other details that they should maybe know, but maybe they wanted to add a slideshow or something like that, great, we can throw a projector and screen into the package, that kind of thing. So it's that initial checkup the Monday or Tuesday of, just to make sure everything's good to go. And then let's say the Saturday wedding, we are going to get probably to the shop. Let's say we have a 2:00 ceremony, probably get to the shop around 11:30, load up. I'm going to use, say, Rolling Greens for an example. Rolling Greens are because they would have a ceremony site too, so that would make sense. I know the ex is thinking about getting a ceremony site too.
Oh,
so
cool.
So once we would probably leave around noon. You want to be set up probably a half hour before the ceremony. Typically 2 p.m. is the setup there. So we want to go there around that 12:30, 1 o'clock range, have background music playing while people are entering. Do the ceremony from 2 till. Do you notice they're a lot shorter nowadays?
Oh, yes, thank goodness.
2 till 2:30ish, maybe.
Yes, exactly. Nice half-hour ceremony.
Yeah, get that all done and out of the way, and then typically bride and groom take off, do their photos, go on their limo rides, that kind of stuff, and then we hop over to the venue, finish the setup, and by about 5 o'clock cocktails go, and then it's 5 till 2:30 in the morning sometimes, and then. At 2:30 it's tear down, typically home by 4 a.m. So
wow.
It's a 14-hour day for most of our DJs, 14, 15 hours if you're doing full ceremony and setup. And that's not including if you have a 2-hour drive to the venue, say it's out of town or something like that. So it makes for a long day. So
yeah, that is a long day and like super late, right? Which I guess it just comes with the gig.
Yeah. I mean,
right?
make hay while the sun shines. You got one day a week that you got to put in 15 hours.
That's true.
Yeah. That's
yeah,
fair.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's really cool. And then let's, like, for those gearheads out there, which probably aren't too many of our listeners, but tell us about your gear. Like, what kind of equipment do you typically bring to a wedding for those couples who may be wondering, like, well, what's involved? Like, what's in your package? What are you guys even bringing for us?
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of what we were looking at on the way into the shop here is we've got lockers in our shop. We have 6 fully built right now, and the rest of the 3 are getting finished up here by end of May. But yeah, it's got your PA system that you would need for the room. It's got a sub, so that a little bit of thump for some of that later in the evening music, whether it's hip hop, pop, whatever. Then you've got all your cabling. We have a wired mic as a backup, but then we also put a wireless mic. We have 2 sets or a set of turntables, but then a secondary mixer. So that if anything happens to the turntables, you have a backup.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's backups on backups on backups is, and I guess that's part of why we try to sell ourselves as that is a lot of smaller companies. And even when I was getting started out, I only had 1 set of gear. So if something were to happen to my gear and short notice, it's tough for me to find another set. There's not a lot of other rental. We don't have a Longham McQuaid in town to go and rent from. So I think that's kind of what we try to market ourselves as is having that backup. And even of our 9 packages, we would probably be able to build another 2 or 3, or at least have replacements for most of the parts. So it's that peace of mind.
Yeah, it's super important.
And then, there's obviously lighting that's included, whether the bride and groom want up lighting or whether they want just dance floor lighting. We got a couple of easy to set up packages ready to go. I think that's a table, proper scrim. That's anybody who's listening who is a DJ, a table scrim needs to be part of your setup. Something nice fitted. It's basically a tablecloth, but then it clamps down to the legs, goes right to the floor, hides all your cables.
Oh yeah.
It is a game changer in cleanly setups, and we don't go to an event without one. They're
I love
phenomenal.
that. And you know what? From the photographer side of things, that's so nice. Because you're not taking photos of all that junk that doesn't need to be seen, right? It's just looking nice and clean.
100%.
That's awesome. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to remind you that if you're looking for a wedding photographer, I would love to work with you. I'm booking into 2025, but still have a couple of spots available in the fall and winter of 2024. Head over to RebeccaWestman.com/contact and fill out my short and sweet inquiry form. If I'm available for your date, we'll set up a time to chat all about your wedding day dreams, make sure we're a great fit for each other, and get to planning. Now, enjoy the rest of the episode. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit more of like planning and logistics. So I want to hear about what that process looks like for couples. I'm wondering if you can kind of paint that picture for us. Like, what does it look like for our couples from the moment that they inquire with you all the way up till their wedding day?
Yeah, for sure. So because it's become a very busy wedding season for us, and we're sometimes doing 6, 7, 8 weddings a weekend type thing.
Wild.
It's hard to do personal meetings with everybody. If they request one, absolutely, we'll do maybe a Zoom call, or if they want to come here to the shop, we can do that. But as a rule, we typically do. We have a little form on our website that you fill out. Apologies for our website; it hasn't been updated in like 4 or 5 years. Something I'm working on. So if you go there. Hopefully it'll be updated in the next 6 months or so. But yeah, there's just on the contact us page, you fill out the form, gives us your information, what date you're looking for, what kind of, whether it's a wedding DJ, corporate event, whatever. And then that sends it to us saying that you're interested. We take a peek at our books to make sure that we would have somebody available for that date. And if so, we send a link to our pricing sheet that goes over our silver, gold, different various packages that we do have. And then from there, you just click off the boxes that pertain to you. I wish our system had the ability to tell me when the sheet was filled out, like a submit button, and then it would. But right now, it's at the point where we just need an email back saying, "Hey, it's filled out. Looking forward to a quote." We get a quote, and if everybody approves of everything, we just do a 50% deposit with the remaining balance due the week of the event. And then once that's all set up, we send them their ceremony information sheets and reception information sheets to fill out. And it's all just almost like a Google Doc shared link where we can see when changes are made. It just doesn't notify us when it's completely filled out. But those sheets have been a lifesaver, and we keep adding questions year after year of, hey, this popped up. Where's the power on the ceremony site located? So we know how much cable we have to bring. Little things like that kind of iron out the details so we're not caught off guard day of.
Yeah, that's so smart. As far as like song choices and stuff go, like, do a lot of bride and grooms tell you like what kind of genre they like or specific songs they're requesting, or like you were talking about the no playlist? Like, I'm wondering like what couples typically bring to you guys when it comes to those song choices.
Yeah, and on that ceremony and reception sheet, we have probably 10 or 12 different like typical genres, and then there's a box to click other, so they would just select which ones they're looking to hear throughout the night. But I think the more important part of the sheet is must play artists or songs, filling out that, so that really helps us get a read of what the bride and groom are interested in. And a lot of bride and grooms will even go as far as sending out what songs do you want to hear, and they'll just copy and paste their guest responses to that section. Oh, fun. Yeah, so that's a great idea. Building 50 songs right off the bat that we're going to get people out on the dance floor, and then obviously the DJs have experience with music that is similar to that, so it's easy for them to pick 100 songs. That'll get you through most of your night. I love that idea. That's such a great tip for brides and grooms out there, to send your guests out, or like your really close friends, like ask them what they want to hear on the wedding night. 100%. And whether or not it jives with what the bride and groom want to hear, we got to use our better judgment on that. We're not going to play heavy metal at a wedding that requested country or something like that. Within reason. Yes, exactly. I mean, if the bride and groom allow it, then absolutely. So yeah, that's definitely important. And for any bride and grooms listening that are our clients, please go out of your way to fill out 10 to 12 minimum songs on that do playlist. But on the do not playlist, that is even more so important. Just because we have had one situation that was years ago, probably 7-8 years ago, where one client did not put the that I'm Too Sexy, where everybody goes and strips you on the dance floor. So they didn't put that on their do not playlist, and it got played, and they were very visibly upset and walked out of the venue, and we felt horrible. But it wasn't on the sheet. But you didn't know. We did our due diligence. Yeah. And now, because that happened, ever since then, we still, even if it's not on the do not playlist, we go out of our way to double check and make sure, because I mean, again, this was earlier on in our experiences, but so you're like, never want to be in that situation again. No, and I don't want any of my guys to be in there, guys or girls, in that situation again too. So it's stressful. So, and that's why we send out these sheets ahead of time to make sure that we. Okay, I have a specific question, because it wasn't you guys. Just saying that, first of all, but at a wedding, I did this year, the first dance song that they had obviously requested for their first dance, the DJ played the instrumental version instead of the regular version of the song with all the lyrics. And how do you guys ensure that something like that doesn't happen, that you are playing the right version of the song that they are requesting? Oh, wow. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure we've had issues like that before too, maybe got swept under the rug and I never heard about them. Right. Yeah, that's a very unfortunate situation. I guess maybe going over with the bride and groom ahead of time to be like, are you sure? Because there's, even if it's not an instrumental version, sometimes there's an acoustic version or a cover. Yeah, a cover. Yeah. And sometimes they want the cover and they don't want the original. And I guess that's why it's important to put the full details of the song, like the song name, the song artist. Because sometimes they'll just put, let's say, Thought You Should Know or something, but they won't put the artist. And you have to, like, maybe there's three or four artists with that same song. Yeah. So I guess be specific and thorough when you're requesting songs. Yes, be as detailed. And I think that's something that Jayla, who contacts our brides at the beginning of the week, if she sees something that's out of the ordinary in terms of, hey, which artist are you looking for specifically on that? I think that's key to making sure. Or, hey, there's a acoustic version of this, or there's a wedding version of this. Is this the one you want, or do you want the original? So
that last check-in, yeah, that's so smart to have that in place just as part of your process.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, so sweet. Awesome. The other thing I wanted to ask you is about like the weather and how that impacts you guys when it comes to outdoor ceremonies. What kind of backup plans maybe do you have in place or whatever? Like, because, you know, rain or shine, you've got to do your job. What does that look like if the weather turns the wrong way for you guys?
Yeah, and it has plenty of times. Typically, we try to have like garbage bags or something around that if we need to cover our gear in a pinch. Tarps are huge. I mean, if possible, always having like one of those 10 by 10 tents or something like that is definitely beneficial. But you try to monitor the situation. Usually the bride and groom are monitoring it too, to be like, oh man, it's going to be storming today. Let's move to a secondary option. I know there was one wedding, I think it would have been 2 or 3 years ago, me and Kim Capro with Nara Studios. Yeah. We were at a wedding out just north of Paradise Hill for the ceremony portion, beautiful ceremony site, but it came down in buckets. Me and him are just scrambling, trying to help each other put gear under our table with that same scrim to kind of protect it a little bit. And everybody's drenched. And so sometimes it looks like a beautiful day and then just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's, you can't always be prepared. And I think that's why it's important to have that backup gear that, you know what, if something gets damaged because of the rain, you need something to kind of fill that gap when it goes down on you.
Yeah.
I remember I was in Montreal at the time, and one of our DJs was at a wedding. And I mean, this will be a huge plug to get a proper tent.
Okay.
Because they were at a wedding and no fault of their own, their tent looked fine, but the storm was just too powerful. And it ripped all of their tents down. Everything was pouring. I felt so bad for the bride and groom.
Oh no.
Luckily, even our DJ, some of the gear was waterlogged and it wasn't working properly. Thankfully, it got fixed and everything was fine. But he went back to the shop. He got a new set of gear. They found an alternative venue that was indoors.
Oh, good.
And it turned out to be an unreal night. Bride and groom had so much fun. They like, thank you so much for battling through it. I mean, probably not how they wanted their night to turn out, but talk about clients who can just like make the best of a bad situation. And they had a lot of fun. And so whether you're going to run into it, no matter who you are, we've all dealt with it. I'm sure you've dealt with lots of shots that
just having something to protect the gear on a crazy rainy day or something.
Yeah. Do you use like bags or something over
I actually bought a specific camera cover, and it's kind of hilarious because I have to like put my arms into it. And it like straps around my arms, but my camera is covered and it's like see-through at the back. And then I put my lens cover out, and then it just like wraps around that, so nothing, like no rain gets on it. It's really cool.
Oh wow.
And really dorky. Like I look very, very dorky, but it works.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? If it protects the gear, it's smart.
I mean, I could get like a hat with an umbrella attached to it and do that, but maybe that's too far in the dorky direction.
Hey,
right?
I think that's smart. I would like that.
That's awesome. That's really cool. It's always good to, wedding days are just always unpredictable. There's always something, right? And when it comes to an outdoor ceremony and weather, I mean, you're just hoping for the best, but sometimes it goes the other way, right?
Yeah, and everybody wants that outdoor ceremony,
but I know.
Rain on your wedding day is supposed to be
good luck, right?
Yeah, good luck, exactly. So.
Yes. Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about like music selection and kind of like crowd reading. So first of all, when it comes to like formality flow, how do you handle the transition between different parts of the reception, like dinner music to dancing? Like, do you use specific cues or announcements or anything like that?
Yeah. A lot of the times we'll try to work with the MC. None of our DJs, even including myself, we don't typically like to be the full on MC of the night. It just, there's too much responsibility, and we don't know the couple nor their wedding party as well as somebody closer to them would. Yes. So we typically try to get somebody whether it's a cousin, a friend, a close friend, something like that, to be the MCs. And then we work in conjunction with them. We can announce welcoming into the room if they want. We can announce any suppers. We can announce the formal dances, that kind of stuff. But when it comes to, I don't know, the inside jokes, we don't have those.
Right. Talking to the crowd specifically, you maybe just will do those like formalities if they want you to.
Exactly. And if they want their MCs to take care of all of the formalities, by all means, like we're happy to just working in conjunction with who they have there is what we do. But in terms of the music flow, obviously referencing our information sheets that we send out, a lot of the times they'll say, what do you want during dinner? We try not to play like the hits of the hits during dinner so that you're saving them for when the dance floor comes. And that's the hardest part too, is a lot of people request all of the top rated songs right at the beginning of the wedding. And you're like, well, I got to save some of these for 10:30, 11 o'clock. Like,
right.
We don't want to waste them all right off the bat, but you also want to get people out there as soon as you can. So it's finding that balancing act of starting it off. Typically in the Lloyd and surrounding area, you're country to start it off, get grandma and grandpa two-step in. Yes. And we love seeing it too. Couples that have danced together for 40 years, 50 years.
It's the best.
Oh, it's magic on the dance floor. I hope one day to be at that level. I'm not a bad two-stepper, but I'm definitely not as good as some of the 70 and 80-year-olds out there who can just move their feet. So but yeah, typically there till around 10:30. There's actually a caveat in our sheet of like when if profanity is allowed and at what time. So like after 11 o'clock, maybe you can have, and I mean, typically if it's a super provocative song, we either won't play it or we will wait until like 1 o'clock in the morning when everybody's gone.
The kids are in bed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're not worried about somebody getting offended by some of the lyrics of some of these songs nowadays. It just blows my mind.
Grandma and grandpa are also in bed. Yes.
Yeah.
I know some of the lyrics.
Though.
Sometimes they're like dropping low. Yeah.
Every once in a while, you'll see a grandma stay right till 2 a.m. and she's having a great time out there, and you love to see it. But yeah, typically just reading the crowd. If they're responding well to country, you keep playing country. If not, you try some pop, you try some rock, and and going back to what we were saying earlier about trying to get a crowd out there, if they're not getting out there, but you still see them at their table and they're jamming, and like I'll even go out there sometimes and talk to a table and be like, hey, I'm your DJ tonight. Just wondering what kind of music you want to hear.
Oh,
just to
cool.
Because if nobody's dancing, again, it eats you up as a DJ because your best is you're trying to do your best and you're trying to facilitate a fun evening. But a lot of times they just want to sit and dance or sit and talk, and talk about what they've been doing, catching up with people they might not have seen in a year. So there's nothing you can do at that point. Is just, you know what, if you're going to be background music for the night, be the best background music you can be. And if they end up dancing, great. But I think managing expectations from bride and grooms and whatnot, and being like, hey, we're only as powerful as a DJ as the people who want to dance too. If you have a crowd that just doesn't like dancing, there's only so much we can do. But if they love dancing, so every once in a while you'll get a crowd who they're out there no matter what you play.
It's like everybody. I know, it's the best.
It's the best feeling for sure.
Yeah.
And it makes your job easier too, because
I'm getting the great shots as well. But I'm sure as a DJ it feels so like rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't matter where you are, whether it's a wedding or a club or you've played to an empty dance floor before, and
it's going to happen again too.
Yeah,
right?
It's part of the business. It's just don't get too down on yourself, and that's why we use our group chat a lot when it comes to those types of weddings or events. Is, hey, we're having troubles getting them out, and we'll send each other song suggestions and kind of just say, hey, you know what, it's only 9:30. Like, give it some time. People are probably just having their drinks, getting the socializing out of the way. They'll be out there in a little bit. And sure enough, probably 70% of the time or 80% of the time, it turns up by the end of it. So,
I love that. That's really sweet.
You need to. Like, it
you
is,
guys have each other's backs and encouraging
100%.
Each other. I love that.
That's what we're grateful for is the team that we have built. Everybody's really got each other's back, supporting each other inside and outside of work. So,
all right. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is a bride and groom's budget. So what are some tips that you can offer to couples on budgeting for their wedding DJ? Are there different packages or add-on services that couples should consider?
Yeah, this is probably one of the topics that I'm trying to bring to light a little bit more in terms of a budget.
Okay.
We do have from the smallest packages of do-it-yourself DJs where it's like, here's 2 speakers, a mixer, a wireless mic, and a hookup for your iPod. We have little packages with lights and stuff. If you want to do it yourself, by all means, we offer those kinds of packages. So if your budget's $400 or less, we'll come, we'll set it up, we'll give you the lights, you can handle it.
Wow, that is brilliant.
You need to be able to offer that because not everybody wants this big extravagant wedding. If they want to, and that's something we've noticed in the industry now is weddings are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, which, I mean, I don't blame people. It's hard to afford
anything
that big
groceries these days. Apples.
Yeah, no
but
kidding.
That's such a smart idea, because if a couple is planning not to do the big thing and they just want to do it themselves and they might not have what they need, that's so smart that you offer these little packages that they can just take with them for the night.
100%.
I love that.
And we even, like, if it's within like a 20-minute radius, we'll even come set it up, take it down, that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's so cool.
Just trying to make that easier.
It's a great service
for the budget-friendly client. Yeah, 100%. And then from there we go up to just like a dance package. So if you only want the DJ from 8 till 2, you're maybe not worried about the supper portion, or maybe you're not having a supper portion, well, then that would be the next step up. Our gold package, probably our most popular package, would be from 5 supper time till 2 in the morning. And then we have our ceremony package on top of that, where if they're there earlier setting up and doing that, and that's just a little add-on after that. And obviously add-ons where it comes to like smoke machines or projectors and screens. Uplighting is probably a major trend in the industry right now that we carry a lot of. So it's trying to find that right package. And I guess it may seem like maybe out of budget for a lot of things, but when it comes down to it, what do you remember most about weddings? You remember the party, you remember the time you had. So maybe spending that few extra $100 on something that you know is going to be reliable. That's something I even found from my own wedding day, was that spending the extra money would have been when it came to decor. We tried to handle a lot of it ourselves, and it turned out great, don't get me wrong, but my whole Sunday was spent tearing down decor. I didn't get to socialize with people. I didn't get to have that like Sunday fun day that a lot of my friends had after their weddings. So we might have saved a few bucks, but 2020 hindsight probably would have hire things out as much as you can. You don't want to be stressed out your day. As long as you can budget for it, hire as much as you can out.
I know. Oh my gosh. Any final like kind of words of advice that you would give to couples when it comes to choosing and working with their wedding DJ?
Being as specific as you can. Don't feel like you're being rude or being pushy by saying, I want it this way. Like, the more detail you can give us, the less variables that we have to try to cross by surprise when it comes up. Saying, we want you to be here at this time. Itineraries are great. Being as specific, like I said, on those sheets. When it comes to the do play songs, the must-have artist, the do not play again, most important, because we don't want to accidentally play the wrong song. But and being as specific you can on the artist of the song, like we said, so there's no confusion of instrumental versions or whatever the case. But and then like obviously budget comes down to it, but this is hopefully for most people a once in a lifetime thing. So it makes such a big difference on your night how your music turns out. Well,
and like you were saying before, this is the part of the day that they remember. And you know, going back to earlier when we were talking about this ceremony, I think that a lot of couples are doing these shorter ceremonies because of course they're excited for that moment and saying their vows and, you know, walking down the aisle and all that stuff. But I think I'm finding most of my couples want to just like get that formality over with, get the beautiful photos, and then party. Like they just want to have fun with their family, have fun with their friends, and just like have a grand old time. And so what's going to set the mood for that? It's going to be your music.
Yeah. Well, and you look at what a lot of people are booking first. They'll book their venue right off the bat. And then from there, it's like, we got to get the right photographer, we got to get the right videographer, and we got to get the right DJ.
100%.
Caterers too. I think caterers are up there too.
Food is important.
But a lot of venues are doing it themselves now,
But I think you're right that that's not necessarily the first thing that they're booking, right? They're looking at their photographer, videographer, DJ, and then they're filling in the gaps after that. When it comes to decor, how much are we going to do ourselves? How much are we going to hire out? What kind of food are we doing? Like they'll fill in those gaps after, because most couples, I'm finding the most important thing is making the memories and then capturing those memories.
100%.
Right? So
something to look on. Let's look back at, whether it's a video, whether it's the great photos. yeah, it's, or both. We did both, and grateful we did. It was great. But I think the biggest takeaway is to, if you can, hire as much as you can out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Okay, now turning the tables, I do want to hear about your wedding day, because I want to know when it was and what it was like, what kind of music you had, kind of some vendors, if you want to give any shout outs, and like what was most important to you and your wife.
So in terms of a majority of our vendors, we've worked with a ton of people in the music industry, or sorry, the music industry,
wedding industry,
the wedding industry. Yeah. I gave a bunch of options to Steph, and she was like, okay, let's get this person. Obviously we were able to handle all of the DJing and band side of things. We did have a band.
I was wondering that. Okay.
Yeah. We had both. Dirt Rich Band came out and played. They're buddies of ours for years. So they started the night. It was a lot of fun. Appreciate them coming out and having some fun with us. Obviously had to go super extravagant in the production. So we had a big stage. We had a bunch of lighting. And I kind of used that as an example of kind of how big you can go.
Okay, cool.
And I guess we can go up from where we were. We didn't go pull out all the bells and whistles, but we were out at her family farm. Of course, we did it during harvest season. September 10th during harvest season with a farming family. Probably not our smartest move, but yeah, we did it out at her family farm. And then she's from Paradise Hill, so we went out to the Paradise Hill rink, did draping around all the boards to try to make it not look as much like a hockey rink. Put the lights in the ceiling. Again, should have hired all of this out to get done, because it was a lot of work, but it ended up turning out great. We did that low-hanging fog, like the dancing on the cloud effect.
Cool.
Yeah, we've done it a couple times. Actually, quick shout out to Maxime. She did her wedding in October this last year, and she did a Halloween-themed wedding. And it was like the whole room was purples and darks and like very
cool.
Oh, it was amazing. We had as they walked down the aisle, there was low hanging fog. Paul Forges has a video of it. So if you're looking to see what that looks like, I think I might even have a photo or two on our page of kind of what that looks like. So if you're interested in low hanging fog, it is something that we offer from time to time if that's something you're looking for.
Cool.
And then the band kicked off the night probably around 11:30ish. The DJs kind of took over. Yeah, me and Steph got a little too after it. So we were pretty much done by about 2:00. But I think the hardest part about my wedding, and what I look back the most at, is that I wish I would have had time to talk to people more. Me and Steph are such dance floor people, and to the bride and grooms who want a busy dance floor, be the ones out there yourself. Because if the rest of the crowd sees you out there, that's going to encourage them to go out on the dance floor with you and be with you. So if you're one who's worried about, why isn't my dance floor busy? You got to be out there for sure.
Yeah, and your groom does.
Yes,
Get your groom up there.
100%. Yeah. Not everybody's a dancing couple.
I know, not everyone wants to.
But usually if they are a dancing couple, then it's going to make for an easier night. And we were out there probably 75% of the night. And I think my biggest regret is not spending the time to talk to everybody and thank them so much for coming. And to anybody listening, thank you again. We appreciate you joining us for our special day, but I just wish I could have thanked them that day as well. So I think that all comes down to and I'll be the first one to admit I'm a bit of a micromanager. So I have a hard time letting go, and that's why the hardest thing for me was trying to find people I can trust to carry the name. But my team did phenomenal. They took care of everything for me, and it was bride and grooms hire everything out. That's
just the
that's going to be
moral
the
of
name of the episode.
Here,
Yes, hire as much as you can
out
and spend the day spending it with the time or spending with the people that you love and the people who came to celebrate with you. So.
Yeah, and I think the other important part of that is when you are going over your timeline of the day, like actually scheduling in time for that to be like, oh yeah, after dinner, as maybe the music's just getting started, or like whatever, you need to find a place in your evening where you can go and mingle a bit, or whether that's your cocktail hour. That's the other thing. Often people are getting photos done at that time. However, one really easy way around this is to do a first look and you get some photos out of the way. So then when it comes to cocktail hour, your entire cocktail hour isn't taken up with photos. You can actually go and visit a little bit before you do the grand entrance and kick off your reception evening.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think because we did that too. We did the sunset photos or whatever.
Yes.
What was that? Golden hour or something?
Yeah, golden hour. Yeah.
That's what it's called. Okay. Yeah, we did those. And yes, they did turn out great. Don't get me wrong. But you're right. That could have been a time that we could have spent going from table to table, checking in on family and friends and saying, hey, thank you so much. And all that kind of stuff. We did do that one wedding trend where you play a song and you go table to table and at least get photos with every table.
Yes.
And that was more of a safety net because we knew we were going to be on the dance floor a lot. So it was making sure we got a photo with everybody. But yeah, I think just spending more time talking with people. And
I've seen the opposite trend too, where the couple like sits in a chair on the dance floor and then each table comes up to them and does a photo too. Yeah, I know. It sounds a little more like chaotic though, right? But it's like kind of, you can set up a nicer background and make like cuter pictures sometimes. But
that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. It is important to just like try to add that in the evening. At least that's a moment where you can be with those people, right? Yeah.
I think, definitely scheduling that in. And maybe that's, we had, I think 300 people at our wedding or more. So
if it's in a hockey rink, I assume it was big.
Yeah. But maybe that's something you need to look at too, is like, do you need that many? I mean, I loved having that many people at our wedding and getting to see as many people as we did. But if you can whittle your list down to 150 people that you can be more intimate and talk with, and you know what, it doesn't mean you can't reach out to the 150 people that maybe should have been invited but didn't. You can still reach out to them privately and go and chat with them. It's just having that time to spend with each person and say thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point. It does make it easier if you don't have 300 guests to say hello to. But I mean, also those weddings can just be a blast too.
Well, if people go home early, if you have a 150 person wedding and people go home early, say 70%, you're down to 70 people trying to keep that energy going. Yeah. If half your people go home at a 300 person wedding, you still got 150 people there picking her up till 2 a.m, 3 a.m. So.
Exactly. Your dance floor is still full.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, to finish everything off here, Cody, I've been finishing each interview off with these 3 snapshot questions.
Okay.
So the first question is, what are you reading or watching or listening to right now?
Oh man, it's playoffs right now. So listening to NHL, anything 32 Thoughts, Chiclets, Spittin' Chiclets, listen to a lot of those. I'm a big hockey guy. So, that's kind of what I'm listening to in terms of podcasts. I get music wise, I've always been a big, actually Y2 Country has been on a ton now. The late 90s, early 2000s country has been a lot of fun. 70s on 7 was what I was jamming for a little bit. I'm a big 70s guy. I'm not big into newer pop music. I don't mind it. There's every once in a while. Oh, be on the lookout. This is the song of summer. Okay. It's the new Morgan Wallen and Post Malone song.
I know.
You've seen it?
Wait, did they actually drop it?
It hasn't been released yet.
Okay, it's driving me nuts.
Okay, I'm frustrated because it sounds like it's going to be the best song I've ever heard.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I can't wait.
I'm glad you've seen the video.
Oh, yeah. I'm just like, when is this? And it's just all over like social media, people being like, I need to find out what the date is when they're releasing it. Did they even tell us?
Oh, it's going to drop right before summer, and it will be played 5 times at every single wedding.
It's going to be epic, I'm sure.
Yeah. In terms of listening. Reading, I mostly get most of the reading done on the phone, whether it's through any sort of media and stuff like that. I'm not a big book guy, probably should be. I know this question was asked at another interview that I did, but Jackie Tomer reads lots of good like self-help or bettering yourself books, and I need to get a few books from her, and whatever one she would recommend, I'll probably start reading those ones. So,
awesome. I love that. Okay, snapshot question number 2. What is your coffee shop order?
Oh, me and Seti get it every time before we go to a rodeo. It's the Tim Hortons vanilla iced coffee with oat milk and light ice.
Love it.
Yeah, very
high maintenance.
Oh, I know. I feel so bad every time I order it because I have to repeat myself like 3 times.
I'm just teasing
so
you.
Loud.
You should hear some of the answers I get from that one. It's like a 5-minute answer. So
well,
you're
Starbucks
good.
has so many options. Like
it's insane. There's options that we don't even know exist. That it's just crazy.
The off
There's
menu
stuff that's
options.
like off menu. Yeah, I know. It's actually crazy. And the different types of like foam you can even get on.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, so what's yours?
Mine's not that crazy.
Oh, okay.
But I just that's a good question. I've never told anyone yet. I typically will get an oat milk based cinnamon dolce latte from Half Sweet.
A cinnamon what latte? Sorry.
A Half Sweet cinnamon dolce latte with oat milk.
Dolce. What is
Dolce.
that? What is that?
I don't know. It's yummy.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what it means.
Well, now I need to go try one.
It is really good.
And where is that? Sorry.
That's a Starbucks order.
That's at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Half Sweet for me though.
Okay, I'll have to get that from you after the interview here.
Yeah, it is. I know. I said I need to like have a running sheet of everybody's answers and go and try them all.
Yeah.
All right, last snapshot question. What is like a random pet peeve that you have? And it can be anything.
Oh man, geez, this is tough drivers. Like when I'm stuck behind somebody who like won't turn right on a red light and there's plenty of room. Mm-hmm. That's maybe some of my pet peeves, and I'm sure I become that driver at times where I'm maybe into music or something like that and not paying attention. So I'm probably a hypocrite in saying it, but yeah, that would probably be it. I don't get too frustrated at a lot of things, but just awesome. Maybe a little bit of road rage here and there.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a tad bit. I love that. Okay, that is awesome. Thank you so much. Before we go, how can our listeners learn more about you and your amazing work? Just share your website here, plug your social media handles, and I'll be sure to include them in our show notes.
Oh, amazing. So our website is mazentertainment.ca. Again, hopefully updated in the next 6 months. It definitely is missing a lot of information in terms of newer stuff that we offer. So I think the most updated way to stay connected with what we're doing is through both our Facebook and Instagram pages. Those are the ones that we kind of update the most with events that we do. Typically, weddings we have in the summertime, we'll post more about weddings. Lately, it's been more concerts. We were Tisdale Rodeo last weekend and Band in the Sand the weekend before that. So it was Tim Hicks and Tyler Joe Miller. They were great. And then in terms of, I guess if you want to just come down to the shop, come have a chat with me in the office, give me a shout on my numbers on pages and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Say, hey, I'd like to schedule time to come down. We had a bride and groom that are doing one of our rental packages, and they just wanted to see how the gear worked. So they came down to the shop and showed them how it all set up, and they were like, "That's great. We'll go with that package." So.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, That's great. You guys definitely have to check him out when you want good music at your wedding. I don't know. There's no other place to go. Maz is the best. So definitely give him a shout. And yeah, I guess that's it. So thank you so much for doing this.
No, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to share the last 15 years of experience in the wedding industry. And I'm sure we'll have more stories 5 years down the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. And hopefully we'll get to work together at some point this year.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode with Cody Maz and have learned a lot about your wedding day music and choosing a DJ. If you found this episode helpful, it would mean the world to me if you could just take a quick screenshot on your phone before the episode finishes and share it to your stories on Instagram. It's the best way for me to get this little podcast of mine out into the world. And don't forget to tag me at Rebecca Westman Photography. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, happy planning!